Sitting down, always has a smile on his face, doesn't he? I saw somebody tweet earlier that after his long flight, he entered South Africa and he still had that smile, looking well rested. Let's talk about outside of this game against Rafael Nadal. There are going to be two other big players, so to speak, right?
Yes, so that's going to be almost like the curtain raiser before the main match, and that's going to be a double celebrity match where it's going to have Roger Federer with Bill Gates, and they're going to be up against Trevor Noah and Rafael Nadal. So that's going to be exciting. I think they decided not to have the two South Africans, so to speak, on one team. So that's going to be the celebrity doubles game. That's going to kick things off on Friday night in Cape Town, and then after that we'll have the main match between Federer and Nadal.
All right, we're waiting for him to speak any moment now. What are ticket sales looking at? I'm sure done and dusted.
Done and dusted a long time ago. As soon as the tickets went on sale, I kid you not, it took 14 minutes for them to be sold out. So, I mean, there's no hope for the rest of us who aren't going to be at that match, but I'm sure you can follow it on social media and all that. It is one of the biggest things to ever happen for us in terms of tennis here in South Africa. And I think, as you know, the sport of tennis doesn't always get the same kind of attention as the likes of football, rugby, cricket, and such. So I think a match like this will definitely bring the spotlight on the game. We had Kevin Anderson and Lloyd Harris. They were here last week, and they also went a long way in just putting the spotlight on tennis. But this is definitely one of the biggest things to happen on the South African tennis calendar so far.
Yeah, it's like the announcement of a Beyonce concert.
Yes, it's exactly the same thing, because the way tickets sold out for that as well.
And there's so much excitement about this, but then you've got to look at local tennis versus international tennis, and it's similar with other sports in South Africa as well. This, of course, will draw attention to all of that. Yes, Simon just speaks.
I was just briefed in Joburg yesterday, so I was a little bit in South Africa, but you know, transit doesn't count. But look, I'm excited that this match is finally just around the corner now. I have family here, and I love being here, so it's nice to be back. And you know, now it's all about meeting people, seeing people, and really enjoying myself as much as I can for these next 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, and tell us about why this match in Africa is so important when you look at the work that the Roger Federer Foundation actually does.
Well, I mean, this is the 6th edition now. I've been rather shy, to be honest, to make these matches for Africa, because I always felt a little bit uncomfortable shouting about charitable work. I just feel like it's something I do with passion, but it does shine a light on philanthropy, on what I do, and it connects all the dots for me with playing tennis, raising money, and also showing the people what I do, and you can inspire others, others inspire me, and so many great things come out of it. So this is the 6th one, and I'm happy it's here in South Africa, in a place that I've come here so often as a child. I think it's going to be quite emotional, to be honest, because I wanted to play in South Africa for many, many years. Can't believe it's taken this long, but it has, unfortunately. But I'm still fortunate enough to have it happen while I'm still active on the tour. And I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful evening. Just hope it's going to be dry and we can get through that match, hopefully, in style.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We know that the Roger Federer Foundation does a lot of work in Switzerland and Southern Africa, a couple of countries in Southern Africa. You've just landed from Namibia. Tell us about your projects there, or the project that you visited there, and what that was like.
It was very nice. First time in Namibia. My parents have traveled Namibia extensively. So I felt like I've been there before from all the storytelling that my parents have told me. Like you said, I was there for the foundation. We went to see students and kiddies, you know, who do pre-primary school this morning. Interacted with them, played with them, met teachers, met parents. And as we're going to be involved in the next 6 years as well in Namibia with programs, I think for me it was very important to be there in person. Also got to meet the president a few hours ago. We had a great meeting because together we're clearly stronger, and we couldn't have been more supportive of the idea because we want maximum impact so kids can really benefit from going to school early, and that went very well. So I also made a promise, of course, I'll go back to Namibia because that's also one of the places I want to go visit in the future. But it was a nice trip, so I was happy to be there.
We're so looking forward to Friday. Of course, Rafael Nadal is one of your fiercest rivals, but also a very, very close friend, and no stranger to the Match for Africa series. Why was it important for him to be a part of this one in Africa?
I don't know. I felt like if I started thinking about this idea probably since a few years now, and always asked myself the question, where, with whom, how big, how small should it be? And the initial idea was, let's just get one done. So at least I did play here, and the people got to see me, and my family got to see me here that I still have. And as the idea grew with everybody, it ended up being, let's try to go big, let's go bigger and bigger. And for me, at one point when it was all about that, I started to realize something very special could happen. For me, it was only but Rafa who could make this event truly special for the people here, because I have the connection to Rafa. If maybe somebody can bring him down to South Africa, it's me. And I asked him, and he said yes right away. And we've been fighting over a date for the last 2 years. So I finally got one out of him. He wanted to do it earlier. We were both ready, but it was just too much going on with our schedules. So there you have it. And I couldn't be more excited to see Rafa arriving tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's a star-studded event. We know that the curtain raiser is that doubles matchup. Your partner, Bill Gates. In fact, you're calling your team Gateser, right? Is that
I know, that's what I call us. Maybe somebody has a better name, but...
Tell us about the Bill Gates and Trevor Noah as well, them accepting the invitation.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bill Gates has been amazing for my foundation. We had one in San Jose and one in Seattle already in the last few years. It's just so interesting to learn from him, to speak to him, get to know his wife as well. You know, all his team behind his foundation is completely different size to my family foundation, to be honest. But to be spending some time with him and seeing his support has been truly important for us. We learn a lot, and he's a great guy as well. So bright. I feel so small besides him, but it's great to have him as a doubles partner in Seattle. When we played doubles together, he didn't miss one first serve, not to put any pressure on him. But in his 2 service games that he had, he didn't miss one first serve. So he's a statistic guy. But anyway, so I'm very excited playing again with him. And then Trevor Noah, I'm a big fan of his. I think he's doing an amazing job, you know, with his show. And I've only met him briefly once in New York, and I felt like if maybe a 4th person could really fit in this into this team nicely, it would be Trevor, with his background, also half Swiss, half South African, and people hopefully will really be happy to see him as well, and showing that you know, if you work hard, you believe in yourself, you can really make it really far. And I think all 4 of us speak that same language.
Can you play? I
have only seen a few videos, but he doesn't have to worry, because we make sure he looks good too. So.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is your media conference. So we've got roving microphones. You can now ask your questions. Just raise your hand, introduce yourself. We've got a hand right up front, and then you can pose your question. Thank you.
Hi, Roger. Craig Maria from SABC. Just with the Swiss-South African connection, we claim you as half.
It's okay.
Just obviously your mom, what are some of the traits from your mom? And we were so excited when we won the World Cup. Was that a big day in the Federer household as well? And thank you for coming and doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's the speed of life down here in Africa that's definitely been good for me. Growing up, she's always been very open house type, you know. So my dad actually too. I guess also because he is more from the land as well in Switzerland. I think I feel I'm the same way. I love having people around, being a good host, and I think that's what I learned a lot from my mom. She's tough but very fair, you know. She's been a great mom. And yeah, I can't say anything different to my dad, even though he's the Swiss guy, but he's also been wonderful. So I've enjoyed my vacations here when I was a little boy. It's been wonderful. I remember them like they were yesterday, and I wish I could have been here more often the last 20 years. But you know, time on the road is tough. Every extra trip you do feels like it's maybe a mistake, so you can end up not doing them. And then the next part the Springboks, yeah, it was a big deal, absolutely. I don't know what I did. I made some big mistake. I went to the hairdresser while the match was on, because I had it planned with all the travels. You know, you forget what's going on in the rest of the world, and I should have known better. But then I ended up watching during the haircut, and I walked out, and I was all alone, and then I watched the trophy ceremony on the sidewalk in the city. In Zurich, in Switzerland, and I was getting all emotional and all that stuff, so that was very nice.
Thank you. Yes?
I'm Joanna from Saharan Africa. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
How important was it for the Roger Federer Foundation to specifically look at education as one of its main drivers in terms of all the proceeds that will be donated from this particular match? And how important was it for the Roger Foundation to specifically look at education, looking at the fact that developing countries in Africa are struggling with a lot of social ills?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's only but logical that all the money goes to education, because that's what my foundation is there for. It's to help kids in poverty to have a good education, a quality education. You know, when I started 15 years ago, I didn't know exactly where I was going, other than that I wanted to help kids to have an education. That was pretty simple. My first project was one at Imbebu in Port Elizabeth. It was a great project. You know, started very small, very simple, and I wanted to learn by doing. And I'm so happy I started early. Didn't feel like I made many mistakes along the way, but I just learned what a foundation needs to work with: transparency. You need to be passionate about it and love what you're doing, and that's what I did. And here we are today. So I don't think it was important per se to be here in South Africa having a match for Africa. You can do that one almost anywhere, but this one is obviously a logical connection to the country that means so much to me, and one I've always wanted to come to. So education for me was always clear that the money was going to go there. Like you said, a lot of the countries down here need help, not just here, other continents too. And I'm very happy to make an impact for a lot of children's lives over the course of the last 15 years.
Yes. Oh.
I don't know. We not the biggest believers in building schools as such. You know, we believe more in making sure that the quality goes up, that the teacher get well trained, and the kids have their education, because we actually believe that's something that you cannot take away. Whereas a building can break and then it's not there anymore.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, Roger. I'm Alex White, a young reporter from RX Radio, which is a radio station at the Red Cross War Memorial Children's Hospital here in Cape Town, run by patients and young reporters for the hospital community. My question to you is, we know you're going to be warming up with kids on Friday. What do you think is the importance of sport for children and their development?
Well, I mean, you're talking to a guy who did sports his whole life, and you know, I started playing tennis at 3, played my first tournament at 8, stopped school at 16, and basically turned pro. And look what tennis has given me, everything and more. I didn't think I was going to try to break a record, you know, here in Cape Town one day, or become world #1, all these things. But I think what it teaches you is to be resilient, winning and losing, fair play, you know, the work ethic, listening, learning fast, all these things. Yeah, and I think also you need to dream big as an athlete, you know, because a lot of people will always tell you that maybe you will not make it, or you will for sure make it. So at some stage you have to go your own path, you know, and if you don't truly believe in it, it's going to be very difficult. So sometimes you have to set the bar really high. And then if you fail, it's okay, as long as you gave it all you had. So I learned the hard way. I always felt like I took you know, one step back to then take 2 steps forward. It was an emotional career, but I'm happy it was that way.
Sorry, right at the back. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Roger. Couture from Eyewitness News. So, touching on the Springboks, you obviously sent a message to Siya Kolisi on your social media.
Yeah, that was like 10 minutes after.
Yeah, you were off it. You were well done. And then you know that they are playing on Saturday. Siya Kolisi's team's playing on Saturday at Newlands. Will that be part of the tour to South Africa? Maybe a trip to Newlands, a Super Rugby match?
Unfortunately not, no. I'm meeting my whole extended family on Saturday, yeah, so unfortunately I'll be in Cape Town.
You can send another message then.
Yeah, or maybe I'll see him again, or for the first time. I don't know. I really hope I can meet some of the rugby guys.
Thanks. Right up front, yes, sir.
Ashrat Mohammed from Independent Media. Tennis in South Africa, big sport. We've got Kevin Anderson, one of the top players. You've had some epic matches against him. What has your experience been of tennis in this country? Do you think perhaps there's a place for South African Open going forward on the ATP schedule as well?
Yeah, so I think also Lloyd Harris played great in Adelaide. I remember watching his semis and finals playing there, and I also played him in Wimbledon last year. Of course, Kevin, we've had some good matches, epic battle in Wimbledon a couple of years ago where he beat me in an epic one. Yeah, I mean, I think South Africa's is always going to come up with some tennis players because they got the history here. They used to have tournaments here, then they keep on disappearing and they keep popping back up. But I really hope that maybe South Africa could have a nice tournament, you know, moving forward. It's not easy. It's not around the corner. So obviously everybody always wants the biggest and the best players to come there, like any other country. But maybe it doesn't need to be the biggest tournament, you know. And I just think calendars always keep on changing, so I really hope that somebody keeps an eye open if there's an opening for tennis to have a tournament back in South Africa again.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Chris Putsch, NZZ in Switzerland. There is obviously a lot of interest in this match, 50,000 people, and a lot of youngsters will probably feel inspired to pick up a racket. If you look at the world rankings, though, ATP, WTA, there are hardly any sub-Saharan Africans. So what needs to change so that more sub-Saharan Africans are coming up?
Well, I mean, I think Asia has some similar problem. I think Europe has really cracked the code. Even smaller countries and nations now are having a big impact. Name Switzerland as one, Serbia as another one, Cyprus, Finland. There's so many of them really that have made their step. I just think Africa, with it being so vast and so big as it is, you know, I just think it's hard to connect cities together and have the best players trained together. I'm not sure about the quality of coaching. I'm sure here in South Africa it's stronger than in other places because of its history. But I just think it's not easy. It's maybe more. It's not a cheap sport by any means. You know, you need to have the balls, you need to have the racket, the net, the court, and all this needs to be also well taken care of. And that's not always a simple task, you know, for every country in rural areas. And I was in Zambia a few years back, and I mean, you're so rural, you're so far out that I mean, you're going to expect somebody to be a tennis player from there if they actually, and the school I went, they didn't even know what tennis was. So there you go, you already lose such a big majority of the population just to the fact that they actually don't know the game. And why should they worry about tennis courts if they're actually worrying about making sure that they get an education or they make it through the day? So I think that's why some countries for sure can figure it out in this part of the world, but some other ones will always struggle for quite a long time. But I hope obviously things can change for the better very quickly.
Thank you. Can you pass the microphone to the lady here? Right at the back. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, this is Nerea Gonzalez from the Spanish news agency EFE. So, of course, I'm going to be asking about Rafa.
Sure, why not?
Will this mean that you will have faced each other in all the 5 continents?
Yeah.
Can you tell me, I don't know, I'm taking with you. And also, can you tell me a little bit more about how you two went from being young rivals to now that you are probably friends and you are collaborating in projects like this?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's nice to call one of your biggest rivals also one of your friends. He's not my closest friend. I'm not his closest friend as well. He's got his whole Spanish, Mallorca way of life with all his best friends, and I have my others. But on the road, I think we really understand each other very, very well. We like seeing each other and also chatting together and making sure that tennis moves forward the right way. We've done so many promotions together. We've done charitable things like the bushfire relief just now, also in Australia. I played in Mallorca on the half clay, half grass court. I played in Madrid for his foundation. He came to Zurich to play in my match, in the match for Africa as well. It's just nice to really get together. And I remember Rafa when he was younger and he was so shy, and he was looking up to me, and he said, "Whatever Roger wants, I'm happy with that." And then he grew in a much stronger character, and we had still a good time. But obviously the rivalry grew as we were 1-2 and 2-1 the whole time. And then today, I think, with all the time that has passed, we see that we're on the final stretch in some ways, and we see life also very differently. But I think we have an ultimate respect for one another, like I have for anybody who has achieved as much as he has, regardless of all the records that he's about to break of mine, or vice versa. I think we're happy for one another, and so for me, I'm very happy and very excited that he's here in Cape Town, coming and playing, again in a completely different place and different surroundings that we've ever even been in. So it's going to be wonderful. Did I answer everything, or was there something else? Yeah, I thought there was one more question. Sorry.
Yeah, can you just pass it forward to the gentleman here up front? Sorry, and then, ma'am, you've got the mic. You can go ahead.
Hello.
Closer. Yeah.
Sorry. I just wanted to ask you, your foundation is doing wonderful. Thank you very much.
So you have to, I can barely hear you here in the front. Because a little bit. Something about the foundation you said.
Yes.
I work for a community newspaper called Muslim News.
Okay.
My name is Rashida.
Yes.
I want to thank you very much for what you are doing.
Okay, thank you.
For all the kids around the world. I have one question then. Tennis in our country has, you can see there's like 2 people probably in the top 100. Maybe anytime in the future will you be able to look at your foundation, the kids that are around the world that don't have these opportunities offered to them. Will you be able to say, maybe you and a few other tennis players come together and look at that for the future for our children?
Yes, I get that question asked quite a lot, actually. How tennis can improve in certain countries, or what can you do? It's quite difficult, but when I'm retired, I have extra time, and you don't know exactly what I want to do. I don't want to be too. I want to be quite flexible when I'm retired to some extent. I want to have my priorities on my family, on my kids. I need them, they need me, and same with my wife. And then I have my foundation, and I have other things that are going on. But of course, this is definitely one of the things you could also look into, is how to promote tennis as such. I think coming to a place like here, or me traveling South America extensively at the end of last year that I did, and spread the word of gospel in a way that, you go to places that doesn't seem tennis so often, at least you leave something behind that they, like a tennis superstar came to, I don't know, Quito last year, that's what I did, or now to Cape Town. And I think then tennis is going to grow also because of maybe, especially here with Super Sports and all the sports channel are actually showing a lot of tennis or a lot of sports as such, and I think that's number one, very important. So you actually get to see your favorite athletes performing in that respective sports. Of course, then you go into details how you can grow it and how you can make it better. But that's, for the moment, I don't have enough time, and my focus is on education. But you never know, down the road, everything might change. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, ma'am. I see you at the back. We're going to take one question here, and then after your question, we'll move to Swiss media as well, and then I'll see you as well. Yes, sir.
Hi, Roger. Reinhard Ludik from Smile, 90.4 FM, radio station in Cape Town. Your mother, obviously, she speaks Afrikaans. Has she taught you a couple of Afrikaans phrases?
I don't know. A little bit. I don't know. I have to still go through them before I crack them out. But no, I still hear her speak Afrikaans to her family, all the time when she's on the phone. So yeah, I like my Afrikaans, and I understand maybe 20-30%. It doesn't feel far away, but she taught me English. I don't know if that's a mistake or not, but some Afrikaans is very, very limited. Yes.
And your children, how many languages do they speak?
So they speak. So my girls, they speak 3: Slovakian, Swiss, German, and then English. And the boys understand all three. Afrikaans is still on the to-do list. I have to tell Granny to do a better job.
Yes, ma'am, at the back.
Afternoon, Roger.
Hello.
Carmel Loffenberg-Roberts from the SABC. You have two sets of twins, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, kids, education and sport are very important for you. Can we expect the twins on the court anytime soon, boys or girls? And then it seems like you're getting better with age. Unfortunately, the Australian Open wasn't meant to be. 4-1 up in the first set against Djokovic, but...
Still a long way to go, though, at 4-1. But thanks.
But just to answer the question, your kids, you spoke earlier about the importance of your family. Would you encourage them to do tennis, knowing what you've gone through over the years? And can we expect any talks of retirement anytime soon?
So... yeah, I mean, look, I thought Australia went actually fairly good. I got very lucky to be in the semis, at all, I think. And then I was maybe, I think, a bit unfortunate with my groin, but I feel much better, so no worries there for Friday. I've been resting it, rehabbing it, and now I feel no more pain. I'll also see how it goes in practice, tomorrow. But no, I'm good. About my kids, they all play tennis. They don't maybe, or... 2 or 3 don't love it as much as I do, so there's maybe a chance for 1 or 2 of them, but if they want to play, great, and if they don't, that's totally fine too, but I'll support them if that's the route they want to take. Like I said before, I learned so much from tennis. I got to meet so many incredible people through tennis and my travels, and I think traveling is one of the great things in life as well for me, to be honest, and that's why we also take them on the road, and they love their travels. But I don't know if tennis is going to be for them, to be quite honest. But I love hitting the ball with them. I went on court with them a couple of days ago just to see how their progress has been, and I tried to coach them, and then they tell me I'm not the coach, I'm the dad, so don't say anything. So I'm like, okay, if the coach knows better, then that's it. That's cool for me. Less for me to do. But and then the last question was, I'm sorry, it's been a long day.
I understand. You seem to be getting better with age.
Oh, about retirement?
Yes.
No, not really. No news, no updates there. As long as the family is healthy, and my wife's cool, and I'm feeling pretty good, and I feel I can still compete at the highest levels, which I feel like I did again in Australia. I'm happy to keep on playing, but you never know. But at the moment, I have no plans for any retirement and all that. So I'm happy that actually the season started as well as it did.